Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third season of the new Era Paranormal Podcast. I am JD Curry, and I'm joined by my co-host Irene Achilles. Our guest this week is Shauna Rigsby, who is the owner of the Doss House and co-founder of the Unique Paranormal 1.5 team. So, Shauna, can you tell me about how you got involved in the paranormal research field?
Sure. About 15, 20 years ago, my mom was heavily into the paranormal community. She lived more on the East Coast, so there was a little bit of distance between us. She was big into it out there, has always been intrigued and joined up with groups for years and years. And she just started asking me to tag along. I was the skeptic kid who was just like, yeah, I don't believe in this stuff. And I just go along to hang out with my mom. And as the years went by, things would start to happen and I would be like, okay, and then she started taking me to events. And one of the biggest ones we always landed at was in Gettysburg. It was the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. So that became like a yearly thing for us that we started doing. My mom knew everybody there. So I was expected to pretend I knew everybody there. So it just kind of snowballed from there, and I would do stuff with her. And then, unfortunately, last September of 2023, after about a year of some pretty hard illnesses, she passed away from bone cancer. And this has kind of turned into like my grief journey. So her team was called Unique Paranormal 1. And after she passed away, me and my wife, Danielle, decided that we were going to continue her group. And therefore, we renamed the group Unique Paranormal 1.5. My mom was big on integrity and treating spirit with respect. And that's our end goal, is keeping things positive and inviting and respectful. And we've taken the group and kind of took off with it and just started doing our own things, meeting all these people, actually formally introducing myself to all these people that my mom had introduced me to, but I didn't remember who they were because there were so many. And then which led us to, my mom actually always wanted to own a haunted Airbnb. Well, that was just a little out of reach for us financially wise. So we just started, Danielle was adamant she was going to find something. So she was looking, and we got to make this happen. And she did. I stumbled across this awesome little location in a very quaint town. I had never even heard of this place before, never even driven through this town. And that's how we stumbled across the Doss House and saw it from the outside, knew we needed to get inside to see it. And here we are. So, it all started with mom, and we're going to keep continuing doing, things the way she would have done them and just trying to make her proud. Like I said, it's like my grief process of getting through, and my way of being connected to the paranormal field to stay closer to her because it meant so much to her.
Well, that's beautiful.
Thanks.
She should be very happy to know you're carrying on the tradition.
That's the hope for sure.
I saw in one of the videos you had sent us, your mom had a strong connection, a strong intuition. You believe she had some kind of ability?
Oh, 100%. I didn't, like growing up as a kid, your parents tell you things and you're like, oh, you're so full of crap, like whatever. You just kind of roll your eyes at it. All kids do that, right? So it wasn't until a good friend of mine that my mom had never met. Their family had recently suffered a very tragic accident with her young niece. And my mom she lived 4 hours away from me at that time. She had never met this friend of mine. She didn't know anything about what had occurred. And she was over at the house and my friend had stopped by, and she just said out of the blue to her, like, did you just recently lose somebody very young and very close to you on like one of those little dune buggy things, because my mom didn't keep up with, four-wheelers and side-by-sides. And she's like, it just looks like one of those dune buggy things. And she's like, yeah. And Mom proceeded to tell her all of the events that occurred around this young girl. And my mind was actually blown. And then my whole outlook on the paranormal changed from there, and how I perceived the gifts that my mom actually left. So definitely.
Do you think you've inherited some of her gifts?
I mean, I'm definitely sensitive to things. I just always, growing up with that, I didn't think anything of it. But now that I'm actually into the paranormal field, I definitely have some sensitivities to some things that affect me. And since Mom's passing, things have actually intensified a little bit for me. My wife more so than myself. We had some very unique experiences happen at her house right before she passed away. So I kind of feel like she projected some of those gifts on us before she left.
Yeah, that happens. I lost a very close family member, and for me, that's when I felt things just started kicking up. So it makes a lot of sense. And the fact that your wife also is experiencing it, that's pretty cool.
Yes. Very scientific brain, my wife is. She could always explain everything away. There was a time that I actually got touched in the night, and she's like, "Oh, it's just your subconscious mind. You're fine. Don't worry about it." Or it was she always had a reasoning for something, but not anymore. She does not.
Yeah.
Her abilities actually are pretty impressive now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you enter the DOS house, activity kicks up because of your abilities, that you're attracting more of the energy?
I don't think it's the abilities at all. I think it's just the location itself. I feel like the energy of the location intensifies because somebody is there who actually wants to communicate with them. So they're like all going crazy all at once.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Do you feel like your mother visits
the DOS house, or just in general?
Visits you in general?
Yeah, she does. So the day actually she passed away, my wife travels over the road, so she was actually working in Lancaster at this time the day Mom passed. I had just gotten home. I lived 2 hours from her. That evening we were getting ready to go to bed, and one of our dogs was steadily barking into the hallway. And I said to Zella, "Is Nana here?" And she immediately got the wiggles. And my son's room is directly across the hall from mine, and the smoke detector started going off. And I was like, "Well, that's weird. Like, it's September. There's like, okay, Christian, come on, let's go check the house." And nothing. And the whole time, just this one smoke detector continuously going off. And, we checked the house, took us about 10 minutes. And finally we came back up to the landing, and it's still blasting. And my 16-year-old son looks at this smoke detector and says, "Okay, Nana, that's enough." Stopped right in that moment. And that was probably the biggest memory for me. She does turn the hallway light on and off a lot. I have to verbally tell her before I go to bed, "Hey, Mom, Danielle's not here tonight. Can you please not turn the light off? I know you're all about saving money, but this makes me feel better. So can we just leave it on?" And she does. If I don't say that at night, then it's always off. Paranormal investigations, she always shows up. She, only when asked. The last time we had a group in the DOS house, we had some visitors there from Dark Hollow, and they had a piece of equipment that they had not yet gotten any activity off of. And on the video, I said, "Hey, Mom, if you're here, light that REM pod up for me." Immediately, bam, lit it all the way up to the top. So she's definitely with us and lets us know she's there when we ask her to, for sure.
That's pretty cool. That she sticks around. She's that powerful. That's, not a lot of people get to have that. So that's nice.
It is. And like I said, I think that's what holds me so strong to the paranormal, is because I feel closest to her doing this.
So what was Unique Paranormal founded for? Is it residential hauntings? Just exploring?
Yeah, there's just a group of us that get together. some people that were very close to my mom as well. Her best friend Cheryl joins us a lot. My good friend Beth, who was like a daughter to my mom, she comes along, and then her daughter as well. And then me and my wife, and basically anybody who ever wants to come along with us. Along the way, we've met some great people. Our good friend Amy, she's all the way over from in New Jersey. She comes with us a lot. We just met a new friend here in the town we live in, Brittany, that we were doing a vending event, and she saw my mom's picture that we had posted in memory of her, and it drew her over to the table, and we made a connection. And so her and her husband come along with stuff, and so that's kind of how we operate. That's how my mom did. If she planned something, she always had a couple of the same people that always joined her, but anybody was always welcome to join. That's just how my mom was.
That's awesome. So you, instead of doing the 1.0, you decided to do 1.5. I know you're carrying on your mom's legacy, but why didn't you keep the 1.0 instead and go to the 1.5?
Because mom was the whole, mom was the one. So us continuing on in her honor, we're hoping and praying that we can be half of what she was. So that's where I came up with the 1.5.
Oh, I like that. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
So this house, you found it. You feel, so there's a lot of people when they buy a paranormal location, they say, oh, we felt drawn to it. We couldn't get our mind off of it. You described finding it and like it was almost like it was meant to be, but do you feel like you have that same feeling, like you're drawn to having this location, that there's maybe something you can't get it off of your mind, or do you feel like you have a healthy connection with the place?
Well, I think it's all of those things. I think my mom was big at always projecting divine order and looking for signs that project divine order. So I had recently just moved from a home that I lived in that actually she had helped me get years and years and years ago up in a town called St. Mary's. And I had met my wife for the first time in Prince Gallitzin State Park. So then when we found this location and we felt the way that we did, we found out that it is on St. Mary's Street. And that the minor basilica right up the road, the prince, it was ran by Father Prince Gallitzin. So those are just two things that kind of interconnected the circle of kind of like, you think like, is that just coincidence or is it divine order? So as things just kept progressing, it just felt more and more right. And then after getting in there before we actually purchased it, I mean, because you can buy an old place all day long. If there's no activity in there, then, it's not worth your time. So the owners of the place were awesome and actually let us get in there first before doing anything. And then things like affiliated, because Danielle grew up in this area. I did not. I was born and raised in Michigan. I didn't come to Pennsylvania until about 16 years ago. So she was affiliating a lot of the things in the area that related to her. So yeah, I would say everything as it came together, it just seemed to fit, and it was just the right thing for us to do.
So, you mentioned the prince. So there's a tomb of a prince. When you talked about it before, it was like priest prince, or is it a priest and a prince, or a prince who was a priest?
So both. So he was. Yeah. So I hope I get this right, because I'm not the historian, and I don't usually sometimes keep things straight. So from what I understand, he was a prince in Russia, who then relocated to Holland. So he was a prince from that area of the world, and ended up coming to the States, and decided to get into the priesthood somehow, some way. I know somebody on my team knows this information. I'm not 100% with it yet. And then he came over, and in 1799 is when he declared and established the town of Loretto. And that's where he teamed up with Charles Schwab and then they built the first church there in that area, which over the years later was declared a minor basilica. And yes, his tomb, he was actually on display there for years and years and years, in a glass casket in the church, and then was later moved to the tomb outside, but then there was too much vandalism. It was getting broken into. So they now actually have him in a sealed vault in this tomb in front of the church. And you can actually go down inside and sit alongside the tomb down in there and, take some dowsing rods, take a digital recorder. And just adjacent to there is a cemetery that the headstones date all the way back to the early 1800s. This place is so new and there's so much that it's kind of a little bit overwhelming to try to keep everything straight and the facts of everything as it's rolling in, but definitely lots of history there.
Have you had any experiences in the tomb?
I have not yet. The getting things rolling thing has kind of kept me away from there. We have walked over a couple of times. I've been more like letting guests hey, go down, check it out, see what you think, kind of thing. But we have not yet. So we acquired the property at the end of summer last year, cleaning it out, making sure that it was structurally sound, repairing the roof. That's what consumed most of our time because my mom's favorite holiday, of course, like most people in the paranormal, is Halloween. So our goal was to have the house ready to have open to the community and the public by Halloween. So that's what we focused on. And now it's just too darn cold to get over there and do anything. Honestly, it's too cold, but we'll get out there this summer, hopefully, and get some footage and some evidence. We're hopeful of that.
Do you have security cameras set up there?
What's that?
Do you have security cameras set up there?
We do. There are security cameras in every room. Actually, what became beneficial this past weekend, we had a group in there, Dark Hollow Paranormal. They're also a local group from up our way. They actually are the group that's stepping up and taking things over at the Crescent Sanatorium. So they had the place for the whole weekend. They had an incredible time. And they actually asked me to pull up some camera footage from the house around some certain times because they had some pretty wild things happen in there this weekend.
Oh boy. Will it be posted on your Facebook page when you find something?
I'm sure they will first, yeah. But they sent to me what they got, and I mean, you're more than welcome to share it if you want to. It was pretty neat. So your location, there's things that people who investigate really want to know when they go to a space, right? Is there plumbing? Is there heat? Electricity? Yeah. We do have heat. There is electricity. We do have bathroom facilities. There is a kitchen, microwave, refrigerator, obviously running water. And yeah, that's why we've been super fortunate this winter because most places don't have heat, and people are having great experiences and enjoying the winter and being able to stay warm while they're ghost hunting. So
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think the kitchen is kind of like your oh my gosh, I'm blanking, like your the main station where people can set up, and then they work through the rest of the house, or does that also have activity? Or both?
Every room in this house has activity, kitchen included. So when you walk in the house, you're in the living room, and then behind the living room is a dining room. We keep a big table set up in there for everybody to line up equipment. Adjacent to that is the kitchen. There's a little breezeway that goes over into the kitchen. There's another table in there. There's a foot bench. And then the barbershop is actually quite large. So people also will take some cases of equipment over there to open in the living room. It's kind of like everywhere kind of becomes a dumping zone because, everybody has to have a ton of equipment when they go somewhere. Yeah, there's definitely always equipment everywhere.
That's so true. And everybody's snacks need to be there too.
Yes. So we do, when we set the house up, we're like, we really want to make this like what we would want when we go somewhere, right? So, which is unlimited coffee. You get free unlimited coffee. We have water and energy drinks. I make homemade breakfast sandwiches here on our farm. We have a farm. So I make homemade breakfast sandwiches and fill the freezer with that. We have a bulletin board for everybody to leave their information about their groups. We have some T-shirts for people to buy, and a big, huge tote full of snacks and popcorn and Rice Krispie treats and all that kind of good stuff. So that was super important for us. Bathroom, tons of feminine hygiene products in there because you never know, right, ladies? You never know. So we make sure we tried our best to at least put the things in there that we appreciate when we go somewhere.
That's awesome. That's so great to hear. Because yes, people it's not as it's more male dominated. Nobody thinks about the women in that way. But it is really nice to have heat, especially and when you're on an investigation. It really makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Because the cold usually is what cuts everybody short. They push themselves as long as they can until something's about to fall off, and then they have to bail. So.
So your investigations, when people come, they can come for public or private or both?
Both.
And if both?
Yep,
okay.
both. So occasionally I'll throw out there into, Facebook land or, because we're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. If we have a weekend date that is coming up that isn't booked, or I'm just bored and want to do something, I'll throw up a public event, open it to the public, and anybody who is either on a team, who isn't on a team, or somebody who's just intrigued and wants to check it out. We usually offer about 6 or 7 tickets, and people can come in for the night. We usually do it for about 5 or 6 hours, just a little mini investigation and have a good time. Outside of that, the house is available every day of the week. We have Sunday through Thursday, and then weekend rates. And we actually just added, because some groups have been interested in having the place for the whole weekend, that's an option as well. If you're traveling in from far, extended late checkout is offered for free. We know people need to rest so they can drive home safely. That's never an issue. Pretty laid back, really easy to work with. We just want everybody to come in and have a good time and experience the awesome things that we've been getting. And yeah.
So like you said, late checkout. So when are the times? So when can you come in to start investigation, and just in an overnight?
For sure. You get 12 hours regardless. So 12 hours, you can check in whatever time you want to. Your 12 hours starts from there. But like I said, if you're driving 4 or 5 hours and you need to get some sleep, if you need to leave at noon or 1, the only time we ever might run into a little bit of a problem if somebody's checking in the next day, I'll just be like, hey, yep, stay, rest as long as you need to, but you got to be out of here by about 1 or 2 o'clock so I can make sure things are ready for the next group. It's not a problem. Safety, people getting home safe, and that's more important.
Do you have spots to sleep? Like some people will have beds in a location and you can sleep in those beds.
We do. We have a queen bed in the big bedroom upstairs. There is a full-size couch, but there's plenty of rooms. We do have 2 cots available if people need them. There's plenty of room in the barbershop to set up an air mattress. But as far as permanent sleeping, there's only the queen bed upstairs and then the full couch in the living room.
Oh man, I think we'll be there on Friday. We're coming in. This is more of a nice, haunted bed and breakfast.
Right? Exactly.
Everything all in one.
Yeah. Oh man,
For the shop, is that a disconnected building?
What's that?
For the shop, the black shop or steel shop, is that a disconnected building from the rest of the house?
The barber shop?
Barber shop?
No, it's all connected. So originally it was not. So we found out that Doss is the barber's nickname, not his real name, but everyone in the town called him Doss. Hence the reason we named it the Doss House. Originally the barber shop was detached. There was probably about a 6-foot gap in between the house and the barber shop. Because, this was the man's place. This was where the men went and they hung out and he cut hair. But unfortunately, later in life, his wife became ill and bedridden. So he attached the barbershop to the home and installed a ramp and placed her bed and everything that she needed in his barber shop before she passed away. So that's how the home became connected to the barber shop.
Wow, that's a strong emotional connection. That definitely, do you experience things in that corridor, that connection between the two?
So much, you guys. Like, I can't even explain to you the amount, like, of activity that's in this spot. Like I said before, there's not a single space in this house that doesn't get something. But there are definitely a couple places that you definitely feel the energy is much stronger. And that threshold between the kitchen and the barber shop is definitely one of those.
Wow. I just, I love the fact that when something holds energy, that it sticks and you can still pick up that energy later.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So you were saying when we mentioned it possibly being like a bed and breakfast, you were saying something about your mom. Did you if you remember what you were going to say?
I don't know. Definitely not enough space in this place to make it a bed and breakfast, but we're hoping people love it enough that we can, keep getting our hands on awesome places in her memory. So hopefully, Mom, one day we'll be able to
come. It's a paranormal investigator's bed and breakfast, trust me.
Right? It's a twofer.
Right. Okay, so the Doss House was built 1810?
Correct.
And the town, you said 1799?
Yeah, Prince Gallitzin founded the town in 1799. So the records that were recently found established this particular building in 1810. Now, he didn't start plotting the land until 1816. The development didn't start until 1819. So we have actually had several psychic mediums coming into the home. They feel certain that this was a meeting house. So we feel, but it has not been 100% confirmed yet, that this was the first building that was propped on this land when he came over. Before, they started building the church. We have a really strong sense that he possibly was in the original part of this building, the log home part of the original structure of the place. But again, it's so new. We're just speculating at this point. Little bits and pieces of facts are coming in. We did actually speak to the town's historian, who told us that a couple years back, they actually did try to deem this location a historical site. But for some reason, besides the one document of 1810, I think it was from 1810 to 1863-ish, I want to say, there is actually no paper trail document of the property. So because he has not yet been able to find anything in that 50-year gap, they have not been able to deem it a historical site yet. So we're hoping we can start digging and maybe find some things that he hasn't been able to try to make that happen.
Usually when something like that happens, there was like a town fire or some kind of disaster that, destroys the records. And
and that is a true fact of this town. So that has been a thought of ours as well. So
this is a good point to make. You're not just, Googling the information, right? You actually have a historian that you work with that's helping you build the history of the space.
Yes, we have. So Frank, actually, he's the historian of the town, and it actually was best friends with the barber, Doss. So he has even beyond the historical facts, has given us a lot of things that we can correlate with what we're getting to the house to relate it to the family that was there, which is so awesome. And the people prior to that. So he's been in that town for a lot of years and he knows a lot of things. So if something ever comes up, we know who to reach out to. And then we do have our friend Brittany, who recently has been joining us on the team. She digs more into the internet aspect of things and pulling up old articles and reaching out, looking into the historical society records. And she finds a lot of things on ancestry.com that, has just been incredible. So, like I said, again, so new, just kind of like putting all of these pieces. Let's say a lot of those records were destroyed in the old Evansburg jail. Yes.
She's been active in the chat, so.
It's flooded, sadly. That's it, Brittany. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's been the challenge, trying to put all the puzzle pieces together.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, that's the great, like, for me, that's the greatest part about it. I love the investigations and all of that. But when you find the history that then validates what you're doing, like, that's just...
Right. And Brittany loves that stuff. Like, she is so into facts and trying to dig things up and match them up and gets her wheels spinning in 72 different directions. And I'm always like, Brittany, okay, you're the one that has to validate yes or no. I know you want to tell all the stories and you're so excited about the place, but just yes or no. And we'll keep moving on from there. She's like, she loves the property so much. She's so excited about it. It's awesome. Yeah, see?
You're doing a good job, Brittany. That's awesome. So the jail that she's talking about, is that structure still there? And is that also...
It is, but it is not in Loretto. So basically where Loretto is, we have 3 other amazing locations within 30 minutes of us. So, which is also cool for people coming in from a distance. They can book a couple different places to check out while they're in the area. And there's a couple haunted Airbnbs close by that you can stay at, which is cool too. So now we have the Doss House, and then the Crescent Sanatorium is about 10 minutes away from us. And then it's the Evansburg Stone Jail. Brittany, help me out. The Evansburg Old Stone Jail. That's what it is. They're actually closed right now until March because of the cold, but we did check that place out. Amazing. We caught our first full-bodied apparition on camera there. 15 years later, I finally saw one that we were part of that investigation. Great place. That's about 15 minutes away. And then you have the Liberty Theater in Nanny Glow, which Dark Hollow is a part of. It's about 30 minutes away. So again, 4 fantastic locations, all within 30 minutes of each other.
That's cool. That sounds like a great, week-long vacation of investigating. That sounds like a great spot.
For sure. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about a little bit, touched on the fact that you have had every area of the space has some kind of paranormal activity. And you've shared something with us that just recently happened. Can you kind of set that up? And
Sure. So this past weekend, Dark Hollow, another local group here that we've recently came in contact with, amazing group of people. They were all in there for this weekend, and they had an incident happen that literally sent the girls running. And they asked me to pull up some footage for them. And the footage that you have is actually their footage from one of their lives.
Okay. And warning, strong language.
Yes.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
No, I'm live too. Let me check. What the fuck? Whoa! Shit! There's fucking lights on! No! I had it on. I just got it on camera. Wait, the light just really turned on? What the fuck? I got it! This looks...
Love it.
This literally looks like something out of a movie. Wait. Is there wind by that window? I think okay.
Need to run over there.
The fucking lights on.
And the
I got that on camera.
Did you get it on a camera? I was fucking
think.
Did you hear that growl? Yes. It was like an old man that was like,
Noah
that's what made me
Sebastian?
run.
Like it
Noah
was standing
Sebastian?
on,
Yeah.
like it was standing on the steps and was like, go. And then the light came on.
Oh my god.
Like a light that wasn't on turned
The
on.
whole
I watched the
overhead-
light flicker on. Like,
off.
The
Did you hear
whole overhead light was off and now it's
That's
on.
the REM pod.
there's walking.
Guys, that's the REM pod sitting right there that just went up.
Yeah.
Box.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Their reactions are great.
Priceless. Priceless.
There is a second video from that same room, I believe. It looks
you gonna
like.
pull it up?
Yes, this was in this.
Okay, so what room was that? So is that the same room? And what room is that in the house?
Yes, so at the bottom of those stairs, that's the dining room area. So yeah, the orb there was in the dining room area, and then they were standing at the bottom of those steps looking to the upstairs.
Okay.
Very, very active spot in the house.
Very cool. And she said she heard a growl. Did she? You know, we couldn't hear it, you know, with on the podcast. But do you actually hear it in the video, or does she have something?
I'm not sure. I haven't put mine into the audio program yet to see if I could enhance it to see it yet, because this literally just happened this weekend. So I'm going to do that. But I will say the only other time there has been any report of a growl in there was actually when my wife and I were in there by ourselves, and I refused to be in there at night by myself. So we were actually there just to get some real footage to, you know, make some advertisements. And I said, I need you to be in the house behind the door with all the lights off and just slowly open it from the inside. And I was standing across the road videoing, and all of a sudden the door flies open and she comes booking across the street. And it takes a lot to get Danielle going. And she's like, about halfway across the street, she looks back and looks at me with this sheer look of terror on her face. And she's like, did you hear that? And you hear like boom, boom from inside of the house.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I heard you mean, I said, you mean the booms? And she's like, no, the growl after the booms. I was like, no, I didn't hear that part. Thank God. So she calmed down, and a few minutes later, I'm like, we don't have to do this tonight. We can wait till some more people come with us. She's like, no, I'm fine. And so a couple minutes went by. She walked back over. She went inside. And again, I'm like, okay. And then she slowly starts to open the door. I'm recording. Nope. Door flies open again. She hauls ass across the road. She's like, nope, I'm done. Growled at me again. And that was it. We were done for the night.
Oh, man. I would be done too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
Danielle and I got his dad in the basement too. That's Brittany.
Okay.
Any idea what would be responsible for those actions? Those activities?
We haven't pinpointed, like we feel and we know there is a darker energy there. I'm not sure if it's an elemental, if it's an actually, you know, something darker than that. I'm not 100% sure. Nobody's really figured it out yet. We just know it's there. We have seen some dark shadow figures in the old part of the basement. You get a horrible feeling in the upstairs crawl space. There is an energy that is very deceptive and plays a lot of tricks on us while we're there, like trying to drags you from room to room and quiet spirits in the house on purpose. But we haven't narrowed it down. We don't really know what this is yet.
It's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, we've only been really active in there since the end of October. So
right,
I'm thrilled with what we've just gotten already in this short amount of time. So that's pretty awesome. I know it'll come. It'll come eventually. I think it's trying to toy with us a little longer.
You'll figure it out.
Oh, for sure. Somebody will.
Is there any war or slavery or any major historical events?
Not that we've found. I know that it was like a way of passage back in the day. There were 4 Native American tribes that were on this land prior to Prince Gallitzin and Schwab coming in. We have not gotten, besides the sound of a drum one time, none of that activity has come through for us yet. I can't speak for all of the other groups that have gone in. Some groups want to know the history of the land and the house, and other groups do not. So we leave it up to them to see what they get. But we personally, as a group, Unique Paranormal, we haven't confirmed anything really from that time period yet.
And Ohio has a lot of Native American history. Pennsylvania too. Do you think it could be anything connected with, just in your opinion, not you, whether you, I know you're still researching it, but do you have anything Native American around you or experiences that may be connected to that as well?
You know what? I don't know that. I mean, I know me personally, I have like a smidge of Cherokee Indian in there somewhere, but as far as myself personally, no. As far as the property and the land, I think it is relevant to Ohio. There are Native American burial mounds about 5 miles from the house.
That was the next question. Yep.
Yeah. So, but you cannot access the grounds because it's in between 2 properties and the property owners don't allow access to that area. So unfortunately, and then I recently just learned from Brittany that the Native Americans that were originally settled in this area did end up moving on to Ohio later on. So that's the only connection I can make with that.
Oh, and she said she just had a comment where she said it was 6 miles. Is that what it said? That's pretty close.
Yeah, it's only about 5 or 6 miles from the house. Yes. Yep.
And as Stacy Lee said that when she played the drums, she got activity.
Yes, we did. We had we were there actually on New Year's. Long story short, when we were setting cameras up in the house, there were 2 cameras, the kitchen and the barbershop, that were stuck in a time loop. We tried everything through the company to reset them. We tried changing the time zones, and they were showing New Year's Eve in 1969 into New Year's Day of 1970. So we hosted an event at the house on New Year's Eve to see if we could see what this was all about. And for some reason, Stacy was called to play a drum that evening in the living room. The whole energy of the house shifted. It changed. It was very humbling. And Brittany had I believe it was, I'm going to mess it up. It was a death whistle of some sort. That she was blowing into while Stacy was playing the drum. And we did have a lot of our equipment responding to that. But it didn't go any further than that. Nothing else came through Native American the rest of the night. But that was a very cool experience. And we never did figure out why the cameras were stuck on New Year's Eve.
Well, time's changing. They've got stuck in that loop. Something could have happened on a New Year's Eve, on that date and that year.
We were trying. We looked and nothing was coming up. And it was weird because they were literally stuck once it reached. So it started at like 5 something on New Year's Eve. And when it would hit 7 something on New Year's Day, it would just flip back to 5 something on New Year's Eve. Like you would think like the time would just keep on progressing, but it didn't. It just kept re-looping and re-looping and re-looping. And now the cameras are perfectly fine. Just randomly one day they were fine. And then I think it was 2 days after that, Brittany had got a hold of me because she had been there with her camera taking pictures. The date was now time stamped on her camera. Yeah. So still no idea the relevance of the date at all.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So many things to try to figure out.
And if there's a mound within 6 miles, there's likely a mound that's possibly closer, because just in the past they just bulldozed mounds and had no respect for the dead there, and so there could be areas that are sites where mounds were and you don't know it, and it could be very close to the location.
Sad but very true. Yes, sad but very true. Yeah.
So you have the location. Is there, so on the grounds, is there any other building or spot other than within the building and the connected building that people would investigate as well, or is it mainly just the structure?
Just the structure itself. And like I said, during the daytime, you have the basilica there and the tomb in the cemetery that you can visit. The opposite end is the Schwab Estates with the sunken gardens and monuments that you can go up there and experience all of that. It's an incredible place.
And that's where you said the monks wander around?
Yes, that is. It's quite.
So it's not an apparition, it's a real monk that's walking.
It is a real monk up there. It is. But like pictures of pictures of places like that don't do it justice unless you're there experiencing it yourself. Same with the tomb in the church. Like the church is unbelievably beautiful. The stained glass and like I said, the history of all the headstones that's in the cemetery. There is a little like a building for history that sets up front that's open certain times during the day for the public to go in. So yeah, besides investigating the house, the town is an awesome little place to check out, especially what's that?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said especially if you're like more of a history buff and you want to dive into that aspect of things. So it's kind of two-way road there for people.
And you have the history tours too at your location?
We have that in the works. It actually came about because we're having a big festival this June, our first festival in Loretto. It's called the Creep It Real Festival. I just had this random idea. I'm like, let's just like have a get together, get some vendors in this small little town, bring the community together. Well, little did I know it has exploded and the interest has been awesome. We have a great lineup of guests and speakers and celebrity appearances. And Brittany and her mom, actually Brittany's mom owns like a limousine type shuttle service. And with Brittany being the history buff that she is, they offered one of their small van buses for the festival to pick people up and take them, to the church, to the cemetery, down to Schwab Estates, and just give them a little history tour of the town for the festival. And if it's a hit and people love it and they want to start doing that, they seem to be on board of willing to provide that to people who come in for investigations as well. So super excited for that event and all the awesome things that are to come.
Are we, have you advertised who's going to be at your event yet? Are we allowed to have a sneak peek or?
Yeah, nope. We're actually going to blast it all out into the universe this week. I'm not sure if you're familiar with who Larissa Rex is, but she's kind of like being my kick in the rear of teaching me how these things need to go, because this is all brand new to me. I've never done anything like this, right? So every day I'm like, help me, I don't know what to do. And so she, okay, Shauna, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to get all of your information out there, because we were just going to do like a Friday draw. So we have a good friend, Stacey Lee. She's a psychic medium and Reiki healer. She's going to be at the event. We landed Patty Negri. She's going to be at the event. We have Santiago Cirillo from The Walking Dead and many other series of things. He's going to be at the event. Beth O'Brien, another psychic medium. Ernie Atwell, investigator and author. He's going to be there. And then Larissa Rex, of course. I think that's everybody. I have one more celebrity appearance I'm still working on, but it's not confirmed yet. So until I get confirmation of that, then I'll throw that out there for everybody. And then vendors, local, far and wide, come and sell your stuff, support the community, food, activities for the kids. I believe Patty's going to offer a workshop if anybody wants to get in on that. We're going to do some VIP meet and greets with Patty and Santiago as well. So yeah, it's going to be a great day, and it is free to the public. Everybody can come. It doesn't cost you anything if you don't want it to cost you anything. But I'm sure you'll find something cool from somebody that you want to buy. Right. Or some yummy food if you're hungry.
So are you, where can somebody, so if somebody wants to be a vendor, where can they find the information to apply or sign up?
Well, we're going to be posting some things on Facebook. There has been an announcement on there already. I reposted another one today, but they can reach out to us on Facebook, either on the DOS House or Unique Paranormal 1.5. You can shoot us an email at thedoshouse278@gmail.com, and I can send you over a vendor application. And yeah, we'd love to have anybody who's willing to come and hang out and have a good time, including you guys.
Thank you. That'd be awesome. So the event, what's the date?
June 21st from 11 to 7.
Awesome.
Yep.
Perfect time. Beautiful weather.
Absolutely.
So I'm guessing, is it going to be part inside, part outside, or is it going to be all inside?
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how we're going to set up, like, where everybody's going to be at, but so where the Doss House sits, it literally is right in the center of the Basilica and Schwab. So directly across the street, there is a community center hall that we have reserved for the event for vendors. And then there is another hall just adjacent to there where all of the guest speakers and seminars and things will be there. And then the house will be open for people to come and check it out and, you know, just hang out for the day, check things out, visit with people, good fellowship in the community.
Are they going to be able to investigate at night? Are you going to have a celebrity investigation as well?
I've thought about it. The details of that haven't been worked out. We do have someone, a good friend of ours, Jim Wyrick from down Gettysburg Way. He's going to do a table tipping session from 7 to 9 in the living room for sure. We're going to be doing that. I would love to offer a public investigation. I'm not really sure how we're going to work that out just yet, because the house is not, it can't accommodate a large mass amount of people. So maybe, you know, we can throw some ideas around, maybe an hour or two for X amount of people through the evening or through the weekend, or offer it. Maybe we just recently did a contest for a group to win an overnight there. So maybe we'll do another contest that somebody can win an overnight at the house to themselves after the event. So lots of possibilities.
It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and you know, you've got a good lineup there. It don't miss it. That's pretty much it.
For sure.
Do you have anything? Sorry.
How open are the dates for booking the house right now?
What do you mean? What are the dates?
Is it pretty booked right now, or is it pretty open?
The upcoming months are fairly booked, but we don't have any months that are completely booked. So if you're interested, shoot me a couple dates. I can let you know what we have. We're always running specials, so make sure you watch. Like right now we have for the month of February, it is a set price for no matter what day you book. Weekend rates are weekday rates right now. So it's $100 to reserve the date of your choice based on availability. And again, we do run specials all the time, especially like if I have a specific date that isn't full, you never know, you might win it.
And there's heat, so there is worry.
That is true. There is heat and a toilet that works.
Let's get those months and dates booked up. Everybody who's watching.
We'd love to have you guys. The house never disappoints. It hasn't yet. Knock on wood. Hasn't yet. Everybody's having a great time. It's a fantastic place for everybody to check out.
Very cool. Do you have anything and any other types of events coming up, or do you collaborate ever with any of the other locations that are in the area, or have you thoughts to collaborate that way, or ghost walks or things like that?
No, like collaboration really isn't our thing too much yet. I mean, we're really new at this. So, I mean, to say yes or no, I mean, we're usually game for anything. We as long as it, you know, the intent is well and the energy is positive, you know, that's how we like to keep things. And having fun, everybody having fun, you know, so we're willing to do whatever. We do have some bigger group trips planned this summer. We're all heading out to Ohio to hit up the, infirmary, I think, in Lancaster. And then we actually just booked the Bel Air house. So
That's
we're,
almost booked, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to check those. Yeah. So we're going to check those things out as a group. We always do the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash every July, just because that was my mom's favorite event. So we'll be there again. Just so many things. I think middle of March, we talked about going to the Lizzie Borden house. So we might take a stop into there. But my main focus right now is getting as many people into the DOS as we can so they can experience that, and getting the community get together for the festival. And anywhere we can plug some things into, we're going to jump on that. So.
Oh, that's a good point. So you have electricity at the DOS house. Will vendors be able to have the option for electricity or no electricity?
Yes, because they'll be in the community center across the road. Yeah.
All right.
The main thing that will be in the house is guest speakers, and then the table tipping for sure in the living room that evening.
Okay.
So we're just going to leave it open, so everybody can come in, check it out, see what feels they get, and hopefully be intrigued to come and stay a night.
And it's heated.
It is heated.
And there is a bed, so you can sleep. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, so I have to ask this question. Since there is a bed and people have slept there, has anybody had an experience while they were sleeping? Like something grabs their feet, like there's spaces, that I know that push them out of the bed, or
not that there has only been one group to have actually slept there.
Okay.
There was another group that had the intention of sleeping there but didn't. And the other group from the West Virginia team, they did sleep there. Cindy slept in the bedroom upstairs. She didn't mention anything that had happened to her. And then there were two couples that slept on air mattresses downstairs. I think they were so exhausted from the travel and the investigating that nothing really fazed them at that point. So no, nobody has really mentioned. We did have a teammate attempt to do an overnight in there. They stayed up pretty late, and then when she was left, there was 3 of them to start, and 2 of the team members left somewhere between, I want to say it was right around 2 a.m. So occasionally I'd peep in on her on the house cameras to see how she was doing, and she was like blasting a Netflix movie or talking to somebody on the phone, or like totally just, and then like she has like a ghost REM pod that was set up next to her that started going off, so then she was freaking out and on the phone, and I think she slept maybe because she couldn't keep her eyes open anymore for about 45 minutes to an hour. So that's the extent of it. You are not going to catch me staying the night there. You definitely will not. But anybody who wants to have at it, for sure. I think JD could do it.
I think he can do it too.
Look at him. He could do it. Look.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm going to say, we might get a smile out of him by the end of the podcast.
You might. Consider it a win if you do.
He's
I can tell. I know his facial expressions. I know he's very excited that you're here.
Oh my.
So JD, do you have anything else you want to add or ask?
No, I think my questions pretty well got answered. And we did a good discussion about the house.
Okay. Did you have anything more you wanted to share with us, Shauna? Anything you wanted to talk about before we close up?
I think we pretty well, covered it. I appreciate you guys asking me to be on, and getting our message of my mom out there and exposing everybody to the DOS house. And I really do appreciate you guys for this.
We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us and being on. Can you throw out your information again really quick, the email and that you have a Facebook page and all of that information?
Yep, you can find us on basically every social media platform, from Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, either the DOS House of Loretto, PA, or Unique Paranormal 1.5. Our email is thedoshouse278@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So I'm going to do our outro. Thanks everyone for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you were able to learn something new during this video. We will be hosting another podcast interview next Sunday at 8 p.m. So keep an eye out for our upcoming guests. Also, make sure to follow us on social media accounts, as we will be posting updates on our content production projects. This year, we will be expanding our reach and impact in the paranormal community, so keep making sure to stay updated. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.